Okay. All right. Good morning. I'm Alexis, the founder of Fanfaire, and I have my co-host here, Alyssa from Party Lane. Want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. How are you today?
All right. So I love this topic of color theory. I've probably gone too far down the rabbit hole on this topic. It's actually very simple, and I feel like I knew these concepts from art when I was a kid. So I think it's nice to just like know these things off of the top of your head and like kind of like think through it all once, and then it's like second nature. You don't have to go digging through ideas for color. But I'm gonna share my screen and share some concepts that I'm excited about. I think the point of this is to help you make your mockups look better. And then also if you are a full Fanfare platform user, and actually if you're a design studio user too, you can edit your mockups faster for clients when they request something. Okay, so introduction to color theory and design smarter markups that will wow your clients and boost bookings. Okay, so why does color matter? Color matters because that's the first impact that you can have when a client walks into the room. It sets the vibe. It draws people in, right? The color really makes a difference. And if you have colors that are off or the balance of the colors is weird, you can kind of feel it. So having the color be the first thing that the client sees, you want it to have a big impact. Strategic color placement can also help you tell a story, create emotions, and drive bigger sales, which is what we are hoping. When someone sees a design that they love, their emotions take over and they're more willing to spend a little bit more because like, oh, if I could have that at my event's gonna look so amazing. That's a reflection of what I'm doing for my child for their birthday, or I'm a corporate event planner and this makes me look good in my career. My colleagues are going to be so wowed and like proud of like how I made our event come to life. So there's emotion behind every event, as we know, right?
Yeah, I would love to chime in there just for one
Go
second.
ahead. Yeah.
If you could. So when I look back at my beginning work as an artist, a lot of it I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, that was so ugly. I hate it. But most of the reasons is because I didn't understand color yet. Like even though I had taken art classes and worked as an artist, I didn't understand the balloon colors yet and how they work together. Like how some of the shimmers go together with the matte, how it could mix the textures, when to use jewels. I feel like the colors have come a long way in the last 15 years, such as we have a lot larger variety of it to work together. But it's just like color makes such a huge difference because even though I was doing mostly classic decor then, and it was the same designs that I do now for classic, just the look of it, heinous. Some of it was just absolutely heinous. And I do find that sometimes I'll get that from my customers too, where they will recommend they'll say like we want these colors and they'll send something and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is really terrible together. I don't like it at all. But since they don't know as color as well as we do, I am able to sometimes like just swap it out for a little bit different shade to make sure that I'm, using, like we know that from the different brands that some of them like if you use willow, how that is a sagey green that has a blue undertone. And if we use eucalyptus, then that's going to be a sagey green that has a yellow undertone. So just the colors that you're pairing it with, sometimes if you match eucalyptus with, blues, it doesn't look as good. Whereas if you do the willow with different yellows, sometimes those shades don't look as good either. So I feel that like in the greens and the blues especially, it's like really nice to be able to know, is it a cool tone or is it a warm tone, just for how all of the colors are going to go together.
Yeah. No, totally. Please chime in as we're going through this because I know you have strong opinions on when to use like retro white versus like plain white, like I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I definitely have strong opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first time I've been told that.
Yeah.
Usually it's just my husband though. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the color wheel simplified, right? We know that there are thousands of shades of colors, but very
Mhm.
simply put. So warm colors, try to think of just like summertime, hot. These are like on like the green to orange side that are like make you think of summer, and then these are cooler. I like took me a while to like kind of like really get this concept. I'm like, okay, well, like these are the colors that make me feel like I would wear in the winter, like so I
Mhm.
don't know. So And I'm like, how could red and green be neutral? Like, I don't understand that. That's like a weird, that's like a foreign thing, right? But just that's a simple way to think about it. And if you've ever had like your colors done for like your what colors you should wear, um, this has been a tough thing for me, like what I should be wearing. Like, I'm actually supposed to wear cool colors. I
Mhm.
was wearing like all bright, like I love bright colors. Like, this is just like I'm in Southern California. It's hot here. People wear this in the summer. The warm season like drifts into like the spring and into the fall. So I'm gonna wear like brighter colors. But there are cool colors that can, this is so distracting with this moving like this. Sorry about that. Um, this you can find colors that still meet the intensity, and you'll see like intensity and hue in a minute, but um you can meet those like desires for color within the color range. So this is just a simple way to show you warm versus cool.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned the color theory, like getting your seasons done, because I think that's, a throwback to what I was just saying. Whereas, like every season can wear blue, but it's the shade of blue that they're wearing. Is it a pastel? Is it a bright? Does it have a warm undertone or does it have a cool undertone? Because I do think that when we are learning color theory, that it is pretty simplified, like the color wheel, where they divide it into, cool colors, warm colors. But honestly, there's like so much in it because you could have a cooler blue, whereas you could have a warmer blue and a cooler blue. Like all blues aren't necessarily as warm, if that makes sense. And just in terms
Right.
of going with the brights or the pastels.
Totally. Totally. And it's fun, like even just I play on my digital storefront sometimes, like when I'm like
Hmm.
picking up something for a client. Like sometimes I'm so surprised at the colors that work together. I'm like, oh my gosh, like just
Yeah.
mixing like, you know, a lower value like light pink with like
Hmm.
an intense one, or like even like a more intense blue with like a lighter pink. Like sometimes you're like, oh wow, like that looks so good together. I would have never put those colors together. But as you like play with it, then you kind of see like what
Hmm.
your eye likes, and you're like, oh, huh. Like I like as I just
Yeah.
experiment, then I can discover what will work together. Um,
Yeah.
you'll
And,
notice,
and actually, I should have said green for the last one. Sorry, not blue, because I think that that's actually the reason that the green and the red are considered to be neutral is because they could be warm greens or cool greens, and red could be warm or cool also, whereas the other ones typically stay within that family. It's just the value that's changing for it. Sorry, I had misspoken like two
no,
seconds
no,
ago.
all good. But like when you think of neutral, this is what I think of as neutral. This is like an
Hmm.
oatmeal colored shirt. This is what I think of as
Hmm.
neutral. Like this is the opposite of what my brain thinks of as neutral. Like when someone wants something like muted and neutral, like a teddy bear theme or like of the
Hmm.
boho baby shower or whatever, I go to the boho colors, right? I
Hmm.
would not like that doesn't in like conversations, neutral does not, red and green do not do not
Yeah, yeah,
register,
yeah.
right?
I know.
Um so obviously there's a big spectrum of what a pink could look like. Any
Hmm.
color could look like. So this is the Munsell color system. So this is just a 3D version of that chart that you just saw for every color. So obviously with the amount of colors that are on the market now, it's incredible what you can do. Like when you have like deep navy blues and you've got like, uh, you know, like regular blue, a aquamarine, teal, like there's all colors within the spectrum, but they're actually like within the same color family, right?
Hmm.
So you should just check this out. I don't know if you guys ever go onto like the Pantone website or whatever. It's like there's so many colors. It's incredible. Okay, so here are some key color combos for mockups, and I'll go through each of these and then I'll show you how you can use them. So complementary colors are opposite ends of the spectrum. Analogous are like neighboring colors. Triadic are like think of a triangle on the color wheel. And monochrome is like I just showed you with the hues and the values, like one hue in many shades. So these are all different looks that you can achieve in a design. And this goes hand in hand with color placement. And so as you think of how you might execute using colors like these, the placement might be different. And so I'll just walk you through some examples that I've come up with. Okay, so complementary colors, these are opposites. These are opposites on the color wheel, right? So here are just some straight up examples. And I'm trying to keep this kind of simplified. So you will also think of like, you're going to think of like goldenrod and like a slate blue, right? You might think of color combinations like that as we get more sophisticated into it, but for now, just think very simply. You don't need to like go into like a lot of depth over what colors what, but you can tell like what is opposite. It's just very simply just go across the um the color wheel. Okay,
And you'll notice a lot of logos use complementary colors.
that's so
So
true. That's
a
so
lot of
true.
school colors and a lot of logos.
Especially big brands, and sometimes if they
Hmm.
use a third color, they'll go triadic too. And it's like I I don't know, they're very bold and not
Hmm.
as feminine, I think sometimes. And so I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of our logos are not like that, you know? Um,
Hmm.
so it's interesting. Okay, so when to use complementary colors? Some good examples could be like when there's competition or duality, like this versus that, it creates more intensity because they're so opposite. And
Hmm.
so you guys have seen like obviously there's Wicked, right? These are opposing characters. They are everything they're doing is like they're trying to portray good and evil. They're trying to show this through their marketing. They're trying like look at all their marketing, right? And obviously the split duality of it makes it like, okay, this is Glinda's side and this is Elphaba's side. So good versus evil is a nice contrast. You can have like both sides of it, but you can also have varying hue within that, or varying value of those colors. Um, Game day energy. I love this one because you can pick out the main color from each of the teams and put those as the most prominent ones to be opposites. So the Miami Dolphins and the Lakers, like we know when they go on the court, like maybe they're gonna wear a white jersey, a black jersey, a purple jersey, an orange jersey. Like we don't like whatever they're doing, they're trying to show there's clear contrast so you know which players on which team. It's easy for the audience to watch, right? So in this example, purple and orange. So this is kind of an interesting one. Within their own logos, they're using complementary colors. Purple and yellow are complementary. Teal and orange are complementary. And so to make the contrast happen with these, I've incorporated the black and the white. And then the purple and the orange have a similar amount of use of the color, and the same with the teal and the goldenrod. So you can create like very contrasting, like you've heard of this theme like a house divided, or maybe you have a party and you have like one group is rooting for one team, one group is rooting for the other team. So that's a good use of splitting the color palette, but it's interesting but within those teams, and this is also an ongoing rivalry. So the color split doesn't always have to be 50-50. So those are two examples where it's pretty evenly dispersed in color. You could even make like say you're like I'm having a Wicked party, but really the girls throwing the party want it to be all pink, so they want a little bit of the alphabet theme. You could actually split it to be more like heavily weighted to the hero color. And so that could be like 70% in pinks and 30% in greens. So it doesn't need to be like, exactly half and half. So it's fun to play with that. So you can also use contrasting colors and something that's not really a huge contrast. There is a character clash. These are two sisters, Bluey and Bingo, who are best friends, but they're completely opposite in their personalities, their behavior, and all this. And so if you wanted to have a theme where you're using contrasting colors, you could also mingle those colors together, and it all is very harmonious, but there is this like character clash of like having the two together, which it also can create like a very vibrant um look by having Bluey being kind of like the focus. So if you just look at Bluey, the blues stand out more to you. If you just look at Bingo, then the oranges stand out more. So that's just another fun example. It doesn't have to be side by side. And then this one, I kind of threw it for a loop. So we expected like a gender reveal that like half is blue and half is pink, and we're gonna find out the gender. Like you can just like shake up the rules too. Like this is a half and half tough text square wall with blue and pink, but you can totally shake it up and kind of bring this like, less competitive vibe of like, we don't care if it's a boy or a girl. We're we're bringing the theme out with by mixing the colors all together in a color blocked look, but it's obviously, there's something happening with like a battle of the sexes, gender reveal, something going on where there's like pink versus blue, but maybe like less aggressive, right? Because the colors are mixed together. Um, everybody's favorite K-pop Demon Hunters right now, obviously. Our household's all obsessed. So there is this duality and this like fandom battle between Huntrix and the Saja boys. And so you can make it fun and harmonious, and like the story all goes together. They're using a lot of really vibrant colors. I've weaved the theme together by including this iridescent star throughout it, and they have like a lot of shimmery colors, and so I included some shimmer in both the whites and in this like green gold over here. And like this reflex green. But there are obviously two different sides. Like this is, smaller for the boys, obviously, and bigger and bolder for the girls. So this is another fun way to like weave the theme together without it being too, in your face that it's like separated. There is like this blend. So like even within the logo, the green starts to kind of pull on the colors coming over here, but the dominant player here is the Huntrix girls, right? Um, okay. So let me close that. Okay, so we did complementary, the opposites. Opposites do attract, right? Like it is fun to have those opposite sides. Okay, so analogous. This is my favorite, actually. I love analogous. I don't know why, I just love it. Analogous colors are just neighboring colors. So you can take it from like yellow to blue or blue to red or whatever, like anything that's kind of like in this, you know, neighboring color family. So these are just two examples of how you could do it. So under the sea, like you can blend the colors. It doesn't need to be in a rainbow order. You don't need to do it in an ombre look. You can blend all these colors together in a color blocked format. This same exact look can be a boy's under the sea theme or a girl's mermaid theme. It's really just like choosing the colors that are all like, neighboring and similar. These are closer, these are just like blues and greens. This I've gone a little bit further with pink, teals and purples, right? It's a little bit farther on the spectrum. Both look cool, right? Same thing with the garden party. This is essentially the same mock-up, but just the colors are swapped out. So this is more in the greens family with throwing in some golds and olive, and this is like really more like feminine with the pinks and having like a spectrum of the pinks, but they're all kind of like in that more boho-y vibe, but different, playing with varying levels of the hue and value, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I noticed such a huge difference when you look at it with the complementary colors, then moving into the analogous colors, whereas it is like one is really sharp and bright and vibrant and catches your eye, whereas the other one is more soothing and just it, even though you're still using a variety of colors, it does look a lot more neutral, even though there's a ton of color in it, just because there's not that deep contrast.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, analogous colors are also, they can also be bright. They can also be a
Hmm.
part of the rainbow. I love doing like a skip color rainbow. I have done a bunch that are like, and that's kind of part of our South Bay Pop color palette. We do some of that too. Um,
Hmm.
where we'll go like pastel pink, cheeky blush, skip yellow, and go to like pastel matte green, sea glass.
Hmm.
Like I love playing with color that way because they are
Hmm.
neighboring, and it is a rainbow, but it's not your classic rainbow, right? Classic rainbow can be like a little bit more intense in classic colors. You could do it soft, but it can almost feel like kind of young if you do pastel. So like doing the skip, you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of shaking it up, but I still get that vibe. I feel like last year we got so many people ordering rainbow colors. It's like rainbow just never goes out of style. So like you could definitely do that with the analogous colors, but you could also, this is kind of an ombre look too,
Hmm.
right? Depending on how tight the color.
Yeah, I always feel like it elevates it when you do it that way. Because,
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's because it's something that's a little bit more unexpected, but it does feel more elevated. Like there's more intention and thought put into the design.
totally, totally. I love analogous. You also don't need to use a lot of different colors for them to be analogous. You could do these neighboring colors. So this is actually like a calisan metallic like silvery green. And this is a metallic green and this is a navy. So these are technically analogous colors, but we've just kind of played with the styling of the color by having it be uh the chrome. So obviously you have the gold in the background. It'd be easy to go. The easy, obvious thing would be to use like variations of gold, but you don't necessarily have to do that to make this look cool. It doesn't that feels like you're it's a little bit too put in a box. You can totally play with color in this way too. Here's another one. Like we're kind of just emphasizing like the backdrop. And so Winter Wonderland, like I feel like the last couple of years for the holidays, people don't want to make it feel Christmassy or Hanukkah related. They just want to have it to feel like more of a winter vibe. And so I love an analogous color palette for something like this because it's like it's those wintry cool tones, but it kind of feels a little bit like snowy and but also or you could make this look a little bit more vibrant and use this in the summer too. Okay, so complementary and analogous, we've covered those. So now we'll go with triadic. This one was kind of tough for me because I'm like, oh, I would never put these colors together. Like, how do I like how does this like how can I play with color that would actually make this work? So here are some examples. This is super classic. And this is just like kind of like rotating the triangle over a little bit. So these look similar, but it is actually still another turn on the color wheel. So
So
you
I find that a lot of like superhero colors, like superheroes are often triadic when you're doing things with that. So that tends to live in that family. So
Mhm.
whereas, and I do think that, complementary colors tends to be logos, school colors, sports teams colors. Um, Triadic tends to be superhero colors. Like, you think Marvel, you think, like Superman or even villains like the Joker or somebody, how they're like, I think it's what, red, yellow, green, or blue, red, and yellow, just how it does pull in that additional color for it. And I
Mhm.
always think that like the yellow almost works as a neutral when they pull those together. It's like kind of that good in between color that you notice they'll use often.
Mhm. Totally. So similar to the complementary, you don't have to do like a 50-50 split. You don't have to do 30-30, 33, 33, 33. Like it doesn't need to be in thirds. You can totally choose one as a dominant color and then like play with the other two colors. Um, that can be a relief when someone comes to you for a party with these like this weird color combo and you're like, let me just if I just like shift the balance a little bit to the color that we like a blue, then it makes it a little bit easier. But you can also work with
Yeah.
it.
Or
You can,
Halloween, like the purple, lime, and orange, a lot of times that would be a good triadic.
yes, yeah, totally.
That would be a
Totally.
really nice one that's coming up.
Totally. Another suggestion would be to adjust the intensity of the other colors, right? So you could
Mhm.
soften the palette or you can soften the entire palette. So I'll just show you a couple examples. So this is like keeping the intensity, like this is the dominant color, and I actually used a neighboring color to bring the most of this to be the dominant color and then added these more as like accent colors, right? Um, this is very classic carnival,
Mm.
right? It's fun to bring these colors together. Like people know this as like a carnival theme. You could also like if you see the lettering here, you could bring in like a sea glass to kind of break this up to make it a little bit less classic carnival if you don't really like that look. Um, 90s themes are really popular now. I in the Bahamas, I got to go to a 90s concert, guys. It was really, really fun and nostalgic and good, but also like slightly secondhand embarrassment. Like, oh my gosh, like we saw um Mark McGrath and I mean, he did not look good. Montel Jordan was so good. Okay. I was like, okay, he looks so young and he still got it. And then En Vogue, like they aged so gracefully. They looked awesome and they were like their voices sound amazing. It was fun. It was fun. Anyway, sometimes in the 90s you think about all these like kind of like bright neon-ish colors together. So this works for Triadic. And then a gender reveal, if you wanted to just mute all the colors. So say, have you ever had a client, it's like, I really love yellow, I want to use yellow or like a specific color, and you're like, why are you mixing the yellow in the gender reveal with the blue and the pink? And you're like, okay, like if you want yellow to be the common dominant color, like we can totally do it. And so you can play with the coloring of the whole thing to kind of make this look good. Okay, and then the last one is monochrome. And so I think that's been really hot from, some of the artists that we've seen, like we're loving that. Here's a quick pop quiz. Is ombre monochrome or analogous?
Um, I think it could be either, honestly, because are you using shades of the same color or are you using colors that are right next to each other? So if you're doing an ombre that is more of a like a pink and then orange and then yellow, then that's going to be analogous. But if you're doing all just different shades of pink, then that's going to be monochrome.
That's right. It is a technique, not
Hmm.
a color category. So that's exactly right. It can be both. So it's exactly what you just said. This would be monochromatic, right? You could
Hmm.
also monochromatic can be a single color, like literally a single color.
Hmm.
So this is all within one hue with many shades, or it could totally be, so this would be an example of a monochrome baby shower styling, very elevated, elegant. Um, it's fun to play with lots of different levels of the pink, right? And you could do this pretty much with any color with the amount of colors that are on the market now. Or you could totally go, full monochromatic, like all silver, all white, right? Um, either, that makes it look elevated too. I've been seeing that with a lot of the designers who do a lot of like organic detailing. It looks phenomenal. Like I saw you just did that one with all Romy.
Hmm.
That looks awesome, right?
Yeah,
Love.
yeah, it was super pretty. And what I do love to do, we didn't do it on that one because it was outdoors. And so sometimes you just lose that shimmer effect when it's outside. But if I am doing all one color, I love to bring texture in and use it both in the matte and then use it in the metallic or else the reflex or mirror version as well. So like, I would love to mix imperial red and reflex red, or to do, a mirror blue along with a regular blue. Or right now we have one and we're doing the Tough Tex Navy, and then we're using their metallic midnight, which is like a really gorgeous color. And they're so similar in terms of color, like they're almost the same color, but one has that little bit of texture to it. So I feel like it just elevates it so much to just have some be that little bit of shimmer and some be that matte color.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I was like scared when we did this. It was like it was a wedding and it was like all
Hmm.
yellow. We went from like the lightest of light, like
Mm.
yellow all the way down to goldenrod, and I'm like, like is it all gonna blend right, is it gonna look good? And it was like, wow, it was like really a showstopper. Just we had like a blend of
Hmm.
5 colors, so I didn't you wouldn't know that there were 5 colors. It's just a little bit of variance, between them, but it like nicely like cascaded through the garlands. It was really cool. Okay, so ombre is the effect, right? So here's monochrome, and then this would be analogous, right?
Yes.
And so here would be ombre analogous instead of monochrome. I just did this one this weekend. Okay, so how do you build a catalog for any scenario? So I'm going to show you that for a second, but the ways that you might be implementing these color patterns have to do with the color placement of those balloons. So whenever you design something, you want to be able to reuse that design really quickly and easily. And so if you have these variations set up within each design, it's easy to say, okay, I know the look we're going for. I'm going to show you like 2 impactful ways to style this backdrop within the same price range, but just by me moving the colors around, right? And so the client can see the difference between like the way you're suggesting it. Obviously, at the end of the day, you're the expert, and when you go on site, the way you install it is the way you're going to install it. But it's nice for the client to like get that like excitement and that buy-in to obviously spend a little bit more. Um, so some of the ways are color blocked. I think most of us default to doing blocks of color. And let me just show you what some of these things look like real quick. Okay, so your success formula for building your catalog would be, how can I style the balloons on a backdrop, or how can I shape them in a space, right? So when you're thinking about, just take a basic tiara, for instance, I would really only, so also think about how you want to do things. This is your business. And at the end of the day, you want to install things that you think look good, and you want to guide the client towards those things. If you're like, a lot of people don't like the mixed pattern look. If you're like, I would never, like, I have one client, who one of our Fanfaire customers was like, I would never do that for a client. I would do it for a client if the client requested it, right? She was like, I would never do it. I would talk them out of it. And it's like, okay, that is your prerogative. And so if that is just like, you are dead set against not doing that, like, don't have that in your catalog, right? Because people will pick it. I happen to get like people who will have these inspiration picks who like that style. And I don't mind, because that is very profitable for me, because I don't have to have every color and every size of those balloons. And so it's easy for me. We have a huge inventory. It's easy for me to piecemeal it together and say, okay, we're going to have these be the dominant colors, and like these are kind of all even, and I can make this work with what I have, rather than going and buying the equivalent amount for every single color. So I like to have that as an option because it works out well for me. So what are the shapes that you can do? These are really the only two shapes that I personally would do on a tiara. Potentially you would do more. And then how would you place the colors on a given backdrop, and how many colors do you need to achieve that look? So I'll come back to this slide in a second, but here's example, like this, I would sell this all day and I would sell this all day. Great, simple, you know. Here's a more complex styling. I would maybe do it like this. I would maybe do it like this. I would maybe do it like that. Maybe I would style like that. Maybe even a fifth option like that, right? There's a lot of things that you might do with a larger backdrop that you maybe wouldn't do with a smaller backdrop, or you're comboing backdrops, right? If you combo backdrops, maybe you're going to do, actually, I saw this weekend, somebody did one of those 3D rainbows, and then they did this larger, like squared, it basically is like the pop out of that with some wallpaper behind it. I would have gone and
Mhm.
styled balloons on both of those, but she only styled them on the rainbow. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't even think of that. There's so many ways that you could style any combos of backdrops, right? So think about, what would you do? Where would you place the balloons before you even start to pick out where you would go place the color, right? Um, and then from there, these are a bunch of ways that I would consider styling my gold shimmer wall. So a lot of us will default to color blocked, because that's the most common style, I think, on the market. That's what people go for a lot. This is more of an even placement of the colors, right? And so you can pick the different shapes that you would do. This one, I varied it by throwing in an accent 5-inch option. So these little blush 5-inch clusters, there's only 5-inch clusters in blush on here, are the color blocked pattern, but with an accent color, right? So that's a totally new variation of this set. This looks like it's more classically color blocked and fewer colors, but in fact, this is still 6 colors. This just makes the client think, oh, okay, like this is more like of an even pattern. Like this is kind of flipped up here and this is flipped down here. So there's like equal balance. So the client could actually pick 6 different colors here, and they would appear over here in a different pattern than on here, right? So you could make this looks kind of like mini sets of ombre within here, or color blocked, but this could also change based on how you swap out the color. So to the naked eye, this looks like it's only like 3 colors-ish, but this is actually 6 colors. So depending upon if you start to throw in gold and white and black, it could look very different based on changing out those colors. This is the dueling sides option. This is with 4 colors on each side. I think that kind of is like erring on the side of like a lot of color. If you want to achieve a, really dramatic look, like the, um, the Wicked theme, you could do that in 3 colors and 3 colors, or 4 and 4, or you could go crazy and you could go, you could make this 6 and 6. You can do whatever you want, right? But however many colors are on screen are the number of colors that you can change. So just think about this. If you start with 8, you could always reduce down to 1 to be monochromatic. If you start with 8, you can reduce down to 2 to be complementary. If you start with 8, you can reduce down to 3 to be triadic. But 8 is a lot. So I think 6 is my preference. 6, you can do a rainbow. So you've got all 6 colors of the rainbow. I can reduce down to 3 or 2 evenly. And then I can also vary the number of colors. I can also do 5, right? And have one color be the more dominant color. 6 is my preferred number of colors on screen. A lot of businesses starting out are scared to offer that many colors on screen. Like, I'm gonna have to buy so many colors for a small install. So if you've been in business longer and you have a big inventory, it's actually easier with more colors to make a design work, in my opinion. Alyssa, weigh in on that.
Yeah, I think it depends upon the customer a lot as well. So, in just the total look that you're looking for, we tend to land at 3 to 4 colors for most designs. So, I feel like 6 gets a little bit busy for us. And I know sometimes we want to have more options, but I find myself having a hard time with that as we're building out our catalog, and that I tend to do things in the 4 colors just
Mhm.
because that's what the majority of our designs are, 4 or less. Like we only do 6 when it's something like a rainbow. So we've been just really working on that. Did that answer your question? I feel like, did I answer it
Yeah, it's a
correctly?
preference thing. It's a
I'm like,
preference thing, right? And
yeah,
what your clients want. Um,
yeah.
we like to have the option of doing any of these in a rainbow.
Hmm.
I think the sweet spot is typically like 4 colors, 4,
Hmm.
sometimes 5. So I usually end up reducing down a couple of those, but always know, like, if you have 6 colors, you can reduce it down. You can also make it a rainbow. You could do whatever. And then there's going to be certain times where you're like, I want all of these colors on screen and I want the most flexibility to make this whatever it is. Say it's if it is, so like, this ombre, I can reduce this down so I can repeat the pink here, the cheeky, and the blush, right? So I can always come back and create this, or I can flip it. I could go pink, cheeky, blush. So it's got this like radiating out vibe of the colors too, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can flip the colors, right? So I'll just go back to this screen really quickly. So the shape of it, the placement of the colors, and then the number of colors needed. So this is actually 8, too many, probably could be 6, and this is 6. So six is the sweet spot for me for being able to style anything that's in my catalog and share it with the client, or them to achieve a look that they're looking for. Um, so that's kind of it. I think that's the end of my presentation. Anybody have any questions on how many colors or how to place those colors or any of that? I feel like one thing
I
I
think that you were extremely thorough. So that was really thorough.
oh, good. Okay. I think the last question that I get from people is like, they will create a mock-up and feel like it looks flat. And it's just been a matter of me playing with these mock-ups for so long. I don't say that my mock-ups are the best, but I do think that there is some depth in them. And that is
Hmm.
because of how I create the cluster. So I'll just show you, like, these are some things that I do. I'm going to move this down here real quick. I think I need to reshare this. So some of the things that I think create depth are how you create and place the cluster. And so I like to build a cluster, and I'll just create a new design and show you guys real quick. So let's see, I'm going to take this backdrop. So I always create clusters of 5 or 6 first, and I build it like I would actually build it in real life. So in real life, I I mean, actually it's slightly different on screen than how I build it in real life because we do bigger color block clusters, but I'll do a cluster of 5 or 6. So I usually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I just place these like this so that the first color that the last one that comes on screen is the middle one, right? So this looks different. So if I go like, let me just copy this. Let me send this one to the back. See, this looks different. There's depth to it, right? This looks like I've put something flat on screen. This looks like, oh, there's a 3D thing that's shaped like that. I'll also use like 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll add that on the side. So like at the end of I'll put up my garland first, and then I'll go add a quad and I'll tie it neck to neck to the rest of the garland. And this is kind of how it looks, right? It's like these 4. So I'm basically grabbing this and oops, and I'm chunking it on the side of it. And sometimes I'll like send it to the back, right? To create the depth in the garland down here. And then I also will do 6. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I just move them into a cluster like this. I'll create a little extra space because I'm going to take this one and I'm going to make it a large. And so I'll just copy that and I'll play with it. Like I try to make my stuff at the top a little bit smaller and a little bit bigger at the bottom. Because, and these usually sit on the ground, like flatter like that, right? So I'll try to move the colors in an evenly spaced grouping and then make them a little bit bigger on the bottom because they're like closer to me. This is kind of like, because these it kind of spills out, right? And then, I've got these, so I'm just gonna, so I could just place these around. So I'll bring that to front. And then also play with moving things to the back too, because sometimes you can create this wrapping effect. And so I'll place all of these and then I will do my 5-inch clusters. So I'll bring this one on screen. I'll make it small and I'll just create this kind of like rounded cluster look. Oops. And they get really small, they can be finicky. Oops.
Yeah, I like to create that big and then shrink down the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because I do end up having trouble grabbing it sometimes too.
Yeah. And so I'll try to make it like bend one way because mine are never straight,
Mhm.
right? And then I'll grab it and I'll shrink it a little bit. And so now it's shrunk. I'll copy it again and I'll just like, move it like this. I tend to put these like closer to like um, a bigger balloon and then just place them around like that. And so it's a process of building it, but once you've built it, you can achieve all these different looks by swapping out the colors, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions on any of that?
Could you show people how to, if they have both Design Studio and the full program, how to move it, what they've designed into their shop?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna trash this because I don't know what this is such an ugly color combo. Okay, this one I like how these came out.
Hmm.
Okay, so they are auto-published. Whatever your first design is actually defaulted as your most popular. So if you just created one design in the set, it would have the most popular tag and it would show up in your digital storefront. Um, Obviously you want to be in control of what shows up on the main menu. I have this one showing up on the main menu as the most popular. And so all of these are in my demo store today and they are our style. So let me move this. here so I can show you on a bigger screen. Now I'm co-mixing stores here, but I'm going to show you anyway. Okay, so our style shows up in the menu like this, right? And then anything that shows a variation like this would show up on the second tab. So I like to use this to show, this was from my example earlier. I like to use this to show, this is how most people would style it. This is how most people want their backdrop done. This would be the most popular. But if you have a client who is on more of a budget, they might want to choose something with less balloons, right? And so they can decide from there, or maybe they're like, I really like this look or whatever, right? So that's how they show up in here. To make them the entire set hide, all you have to do is you go to the most popular design, you go to the tagging, and you deselect it from the menu. This is where it decides where it's going to show up in your catalog. So this is in the backdrop section of my menu, and so now it won't be there. I can also move the entire set. So say this was a shimmer wall and it broke. And so you know what? Like I'm not replacing it. I want to not throw away all the work that I did. I can go and delete this and just have this featured as a garland and put it in the balloons by the foot section. So now the entire set is hidden. But if I have this selected, this is published to my entire store, and then this is defining where it shows up in my catalog sections. Does that answer your question, Alyssa?
Yeah, no, I had someone ask me as well. So I thought that it would be a good thing to clarify on the store.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then obviously you have full pricing control and all that here too.
Mhm.
Cool. So what are your guys' favorite ways to place color? Color blocked, side by side, mixed, ombre. What do you guys like?
Color blocked for me. Color blocked or ombre.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, most of what we send out is color blocked. So it's
Yeah.
just, we sometimes do mixed, but most of
Yeah.
what we do is color blocked.
Yeah. I'm putting a little bit of mixed in there in my catalog, but it's usually color blocked is my our style section, and then the variation is like something different or something, maybe something on that backdrop like inspires me, like this weekend I did this one that was like a wave on this blue backdrop, so I'm like, I want to have that as an option. It's kind of fun. Most people are not going to think I want a wave for my party, but if they see it they might be like, oh, it's kind of cool, like I'll do that.
Mhm.
um
Yeah. Because even when we build mixed, sometimes I struggle with mixed with color placement. I feel like it's so much harder, which is why I think that I like to do color block. So even when we do mixed, we do just a variation of color blocked. Whereas what we'll
smaller
do is
clusters or
instead of,
what?
well, how we do it is instead of having, because usually for us, like one color block is our quad plus our six pack in one color, and then we move on to the next. And what we'll do for mixed is we just alternate at that level where the quad will be one color, the six pack will be the next color, the quad will be the next color, and then the six pack. So we rotate it through there, and then we mix our flare. Like our littles are what then we end up totally mixing because we end up having like a different color per row. But yet I
Okay.
find that that way I don't end up with having, like two all my my 17-inch are like having the two colors next to each other that I don't necessarily want to be next to each other. So, and I think that it's also easier for me to just teach and to have it be more duplicatable for my staff when they're producing it, because sometimes I would get it to look right, but then I would look at where their color placement was and I was like, oh my goodness. So I found that that's a really easy way for us to achieve that mixed look, but without it looking chaotic, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So Yeah, so that's kind of our little trick if anybody else struggles with mixed decor. That's how we end up executing it. And some people, they do mixed and it looks, they do almost all mixed and it looks really, really good all of the time. And
If we
this is
do
the only way
mix,
that
we'll
ours
literally
does.
like
Hmm.
say it's like 5 colors. We will,
Hmm.
so how do I explain this? Like we will just pair the same two,
Hmm.
and then just like keep twisting, and then we're incorporating different colors of the larger like 17 or 18 inches, right?
Hmm.
And then every one of our little quads is like all 4 colors, and then like we'll switch that quad to be a little bit different with the 5th color, right? So you can incorporate the 5th color. So it is actually really evenly spaced.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think like it is a more DIYer look because that's what you get in a lot of Amazon kits, right? Whereas like the
Hmm.
color block is really hard for someone who doesn't know what they're doing to achieve this like really gorgeous look. So I'm always surprised when someone still wants that. But hey,
Hmm.
I'll do it, right? Like why not?
Yeah, and I think that you also like that's another good hack for it. That's how we do our mixed columns, is that every mixed column is like one row will be, we just did one last week. What were the colors for our mixed column? Oh, I wish I could remember 3 days ago. It was a fashion blue, hot pink, yellow, and like a purple violet. And so we had the fashion blue and the purple violet facing, like alternated.
Mhm.
And then we had the next row as the other two. And then we just swapped which colors were facing forward with those 4 colors. So it did, again, look completely mixed, but it was not random. And I think that's the thing is that it starts to look more DIY when you're randomly selecting the colors that go together. Whereas if mixed is still takes a lot of color theory to it and a lot of placement theory in order to make it look really good instead of looking like the DIY look. So it's
Yeah.
not just
Well,
random.
fortunately, like we
Mhm.
have really quality balloons, right? Like at our
Oh
fancy
yeah, that too,
fair
of course,
tax,
right?
super tax, like that makes the biggest difference. Like when you
Hmm.
see those gorgeous colors and like the thickness and the quality of the balloons, it's so different. Especially also the shape, right? When we can do that
Hmm.
nice rounded shape. When you see someone like put together balloons and it's like this eggy shape, you're like, oh,
I know. It's like, no, what are you doing?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Cool.
best.
Okay, well, this was fun. Are
Okay,
you good?
I did send you a message because I am not on my computer if you wanted to share. So I don't think that Stacy was able to hop back on, but Stacy and I are going to be having a free, um, we're going to be hosting a free class. So, and we would love if anybody could come out to it. So you would obviously just have to pay for your own travel and meals. We aren't covering that since it is a free class. I know you're probably looking for what I sent you.
Yes,
So day
I
one is
go ahead.
is going to be taught. We're going to be teaching people how to design in Fanfaire, and we're going to be showing how we created this entire build. And everything is going to be designed within Fanfaire in terms of the colors that we're using, how it's going to be presented, and then how you're able to add it to your catalog. And we are doing this for Halloween. It is going to be one that is a sweet Halloween where it's like a candy themed and pastels, one that is a haunted house, one that is a typical spooky Halloween. And then we're also creating and teaching rigging on how to make a giant spider on a large tent. So it should be super fun and it would be great if some of you could make it.
So how long is each day? Because this seems like
Um,
building
right,
would be
I
the
know.
work.
It's going to be 8-hour days. So
Oh
it's
wow.
going to be from, yeah, so it's going to be from 9 to 5 every single day. So with a break for lunch and possibly some of us
Yay.
staying a
Okay.
little bit later. Yeah. So
Okay,
we'll
so
be working into the
hold
day.
on.
Mhm.
Is this gonna be like an entire like a big setup for all this Halloween stuff, and then the attendees can take pictures, use this for their portfolio? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they'll be able to use it for that. I am doing coaching and we are doing some classes. And so honestly, we're doing a lot of this and so that we could also use it as the content so that we could market doing some paid classes as well in the future, along with some coaching that we're going to be doing. So we're doing it and
Is this
offering
the
it
part
as
where
a
I
free
should say
class.
something?
Please say something. Go for it. Yes, Stacey's back. Where'd she
I've
go?
been with a client. I've been with a client, but he says he'll bug out.
So
So
tell us.
go for it, Stacey. Take it over.
Oh, you want me to take it over? Okay. So what I have, some of you may have seen a tour of my place and some of you might not have seen a tour of my place, but like the entire front of
Fantastic
my
space.
building is about, I'd say 2 to 3,000 square feet. And then I have a 20 by 30 tent, which that's another 600 square feet behind it. So what we want to do is do a practical build to show people, some of the stuff that they can actually grab and go for Halloween, but also build in a set pieces. So part of what I like to teach as a way to gain income is when you can go to a mall and you can say, I can do this vignette for you, and people will come and take pictures with it, and it'll be a draw for your marketing. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to have materials in order to prove to them that you can do something like that. So utilizing my own space, and my space has been used for like movie sets and all that kind of stuff. Utilizing my own space, I wanted to recreate that situation so people could get some experience of how you would come up with that concept and what you can do with it. So, one side of the front would be a sweet Halloween, which is going to feature that pink and purple pastel Halloween that's so trendy. The other side would be a haunted house, and the feature piece in the center there would be a 360 photo booth. So when people are on it, they're getting the full background sweep of the photo. A spooky Halloween is like Nightmare Before Christmas. And if you walk into my building, I don't know if anybody has ever seen the picture. I did like a 16-foot hot air balloon. I always have a big 30-foot arch up front. So that I have a full-size sleigh. So we're going to utilize that to pivot into the like Jack Skellington type thing.
Ah,
Behind it on top of the tent,
Yeah, she has so many
you
amazing things. It's crazy. And her
and
space is
so
insane.
behind it, yeah, behind it, I have a tent. So then on top of the tent, we can rig a huge giant spider that's like sitting on top of the tent. But then I can show you how to do tent installs where we can do some draping and a whole bunch of baby spiders coming from underneath the tent. So you can get some practical experience with also learning how to rig and learning how to be onto a framed piece like a tent, which is something that most
Mhm.
people don't have the ability to just whip a tent out and show you how to do that. I
yeah. Well, I would want to know what are all the ways you could style on a tent because I've showed up and I'm like, okay, like it feels dinky to put something like a little garland on a tent. And then I've also done like the clouds on the top of the tent, but like what are all the things that you can do with the tent? That I mean, that would be cool too.
That could be a whole class just doing
Yeah.
tent decor, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it pretty much could be. What I was
Mhm.
thinking as I would advance, do part of it and then finish it with people so that we wouldn't have so much backlog, or do part of it and then finish the back part of it. But what I'm intending to do is then clear the space underneath the tent of some of the stuff I have under there and let kids come in and I have tables under there, so I was going to set up something on each table and make it to where they could walk around and get their treats. So I was going to open it, for my friends and, people that would like to come in. My daughter's classroom would come up and visit, that kind of stuff. So,
Awesome. I love
but I
that.
want I want people to have the excitement of being able to learn how to do some of this stuff, but it's a controlled atmosphere. We've got plenty of food right by us. It's casual and we just have some fun.
Awesome. Yeah. That's coming up quick. So how can do
Super
people
quick.
need to register ahead of time or how do they secure a spot?
Well, my husband was still building the form when Alyssa said, "Please give me this now." I said, "Okay." So I'm gonna have a QR code. They can
We
just
will
go
have a
and sign up
registration
on the
form.
form, and we'll compile the list of folks and say, "Hey, show up, build, have fun, learn how to use these great tools and techniques that we have, and at the end of it, have something fantastic." So mostly we kind of want to play with balloons with friends.
Love it.
I did it all to get Alyssa to come to my place. That's it. It really,
Yeah.
no, just teasing.
Yeah.
I guess so 8 hours each day. If people are coming in, so I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people that are local already, but if they're coming in from out of town, do you have
There's
any
a
recommendations?
hotel literally about 2 blocks from me.
Across the
Okay.
street. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, across the street and to the right, there's like it's an inexpensive, like, I think it's like $120 a night. And there's plenty of other hotels down the road. But I mean, we're within walking distance of one and probably a quick Uber ride of several, like Red Roof Inns, American, that kind of stuff. Um, but um, you know, it's a area rich with like downtown Naperville's got some really pretty hotels and stuff. I would imagine that like right next to us is a whole mall, and then right next to that's a complex called Area 59, and all of it's like dining, eating, movies. There's like so much within like literally 3 blocks of my place. It's amazing. And then you can even get downtown and have some more cultural stuff for Naperville. But I kind of figured once people are kind of done, we'd wrap up, go find a place to chill and eat. You know how balloon people are, they don't really ever wrap up. They just keep going in a different spot. So I will have a form and a QR code. I just didn't get that finished quicker than this came up to talk about it. So
Okay, great. Well, give me all this info and I'll post it on our website and promote it. This sounds like a really fun event.
yeah, I'll make sure the details about like hotels and stuff is listed. But I mean, as far as coming to learn how to do the things, we're so proud to partner with you guys and have fun with friends.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna
So
stop.
Dom, at one point I looked because I was trying to keep an eye on the screen. The guy that was here is was just